Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This is from a channel titled Large Man Abroad, and this is titled America is Becoming a Third World Country, and I was interested in what he had to say. So with that being said, shout out to my subscribers. What's smoking on my dragons, divine, righteous, almighty, greats, overachieving, never slacking. We're going to hop right into this because I'm curious to the information that this man has. So let's get to it.
America isn't a first world country. You can simply look around. Everything is being eroded in this country when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to access to the basic necessities of life. These things are either becoming of lower quality or in general, many Americans will no longer have access to these things that would normally define a country as first world. America is becoming a low-income country, and I don't think people really understand that at this point. The wealth disparity in America is growing so much, and the devaluation of the dollar is becoming so consequential and is touching so many people's lives that, like I said, America has become a low-income country, and if we have not become that, we are becoming that. And a low-income country is often regarded as a third world country. So how is America not becoming that? I think it's time for us to drop the idea that we are the greatest country on the planet, because I think it's a great distraction and it leads the people in America.
Good luck getting people to try to do that. People in America don't like to look in the mirror too much. They like to blame others.
To live in a kind of delusion and put themselves in a place where they don't actually have to face the reality. That standard of living, it's constantly dropping. I think one of the things that hold Americans back the most is that they've become kind of slaves to their own reputation. We have to believe that we're the best. We have to believe that our country is just greater than no other. But at the same time, we don't realize how difficult it's actually becoming for most people to live here in America. It's easy for us to just accept what we're being told, that the economy is booming, the housing market is booming. Of course, if you watch mainstream media, that's what they're saying. Home prices are going towards all-time highs again, even though no one's buying, even though the vast majority of Americans are priced out of ever buying a home. The unemployment is near reaching all-time lows, even though many people have to carry 2 jobs just to pay the bills and maintain their households. In America, our lives used to be defined by the freedom that we have, but now it's simply defined by the labor in which we're able to sell. The labor market is becoming nothing more than a meat market. We sell our hours of the day. We only have so many hours of the day, and none of them are for us, because they can't be for us, because most Americans are now stuck in the reality that they have to sell the waking hours of their day simply to live. But when I say live, I don't mean truly live. I mean just sustain the household. Life in America is nothing more but a constant battle to keep yourself out of homeless. We are a low-income society, and we are becoming a poor society, a poor country, a third world country. Don't be fooled by the trappings around you. Don't be fooled by the big apartment buildings, the big houses that you'll never actually be able to afford, because even those apartment buildings, for the most Americans at this point, they can't actually afford to live there. We think of the homes that are being built around us because there's constantly construction being done, but are those homes actually being built for you? Right now, there's more homes on the market than there has been since pre-pandemic levels, but home sales are almost at a 20-year low. The homes that are going up are starting in the, 400, 500,000s? But in order to buy those homes, you need an income of $120,000, $130,000 a year, and no one has that. Not when the median household income in America is about $80,000. They're not building them for you. America in the 21st century is going to be defined by the wealth disparity that we're existing in and how it is exploding. Of course, we saw a major transfer.
Sounding like a tent might be the best option. But the problem with that is where you going to go with the tent. People, it's harder and harder for people who are homeless to even stay in certain places. They getting kicked out of places. So where you even going to go with a tent? You're going to end up in some type of camp or something.
Of wealth in 2008 and of course 2019 to 2021. And I would argue that the major tax cuts that are given to billionaires and the richest Americans are only going to see that increase. Because when we look at investments, when we look at profit that's actually coming into the household, profit that actually hits our pockets and hits our bank accounts, we have to understand that we, normal Americans, get pennies while the richest Americans get pounds. America isn't for Americans anymore. It's simply for business. When I lived in West Virginia back in the day, the state motto used to be Wild and Wonderful West Virginia. And then it was changed all of a sudden to West Virginia, open for business. And that's what America has become.
Why do some men stay strong and vital? Well,
I'm enjoying his perspective. I listened to a lot of different perspectives, and all of them are sounding very similar to this.
America used to
No one's really happy.
be a place of ceaseless wonder, a place of absolute beauty and opportunity for everyone. If you're able to get here and work hard enough to attain it, you might be able to attain some kind of life that's far better than the life that you may have been able to get in your own country. But with the ladder being raised up behind the wealthiest class of Americans, there isn't even a pie left for pieces to be carved from. America is becoming a third world country because the people are living in a state of abject indentured servitude now. Every moment of your day has to be focused on monetizing your life. Because if you don't, you're going to end up homeless. Because the cost of living is going to constantly increase, that if you don't constantly improve your financial outlook and your ability to bring in money, eventually that cost of living is going to outpace your earned income and you're going to slip into poverty. When 70% of Americans don't have $1,000 in their bank account for an emergency, and at the same time the devaluation of the dollar means that $1,000 20 years ago had the buying power of what now would be, $2,000 or $3,000. Our money has been devalued so much, and it doesn't matter what they actually tell us on the media. It doesn't matter what our politicians tell us about a booming economy, inflation going down. The fact is inflation is always there. We're happy that it's at a lower rate, and if it goes up a little higher, we panic. If it goes down a bit, we're happy about it. But the fact is inflation is always there. It doesn't need to be. It's just under the monetary policy that America has carried for generations is baked into the system that while your money is worth less and your ability to bring in income never really goes up, at the same time, the price of all assets, whether it's homes, whether it's cars, whether it's goods at the store, whether it's healthcare, those will always go up to meet inflation or to surpass that, because greed is also a major factor in this corporate country that we're in. If we continue this trend, then yes, it is inevitable that America will become what we would describe as a third world country at some point very soon, because people are at their breaking point now. The populace of America is struggling. And the idea of actually attaining any kind of generational wealth at this point, while the vast majority of Americans are struggling to live paycheck to paycheck, should simply solidify that fact into our heads, because it is a fact. No change is actually being made, no matter what party is in charge. It's just baked into the system. It's the way that our system is. We have, for my entire life, at least, been moving into a direction where only the wealthy people are actually going to be able to attain the assets that define success in America, that define comfortable life in America, that define success in America. And I'd say that at this point, we're only one generation away, maybe, until the idea of having any kind of safety and security that you can actually purchase and provide for on your own without any kind of government assistance will simply be a dream, at least for 70 to 80% of Americans. Because that's what we're looking at right now. When 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, that means that there's 60% of Americans that don't have the ability to save, that don't have the ability to dream, to live. Their life is simply work. Their life is simply labor. And that becomes the all.
Damn, man, it brings me to that movie Metropolis. Way back, they told us, what was that, like the 30s when that movie came out, the 1920s or 30s, where pretty much everybody was just a robot working all the time. That's it. That's what it's become.
Consuming definition of your life. The labor that you can provide to the system. America used to be a place of liberty where someone can pursue happiness. But the pursuit of happiness is a luxury in a third world country. And a third world country is a country where, by definition, luxuries are only attainable by the wealthy. The truth is, there has to be a fundamental change to our system for our system to actually work for the working class. to work for the working poor, to uplift the normal American person so that they can live a life actually worth living and not just a life of toil and labor. Because what we're going to see as the low-income country continues to be more low income, and as the quality of life and standard of living continue to drop in our country, is that the expectation of the normal American, what they expect out of their lives, what they expect for their government, is going to change after just the next couple of generations. We're just getting by, and just having enough is the new normal. That's the expectation that we will have. Not actually growing, succeeding, building ourselves up, because that ability will just be too expensive for us. Too expensive for the normal American. Like I said, success in a third world country is simply just too expensive for normal people.
If you're here in Pennsylvania and are looking for a solution to...
I'm really tuned into what he's saying. I like how he's talking. I like how he's delivering a message. It definitely needs to be heard.
Their life is toil. Their life is struggle. Their life is labor. I've been to enough third world countries to understand that. I've been to enough third world countries where tourists will go and their money's worth 10 times as much as it is in America. And they enjoy it so much because they're essentially living as the wealthiest people in a third world country. And everyone else who lives in that country out of necessity, their job, their purpose is to actually just keep the system going so the wealthy can live comfortable lives. That sounds like what America is becoming when all the homes that are going up are only being bought by wealthy Americans. When's the last time true low-income housing was built in this country? It just isn't. Look around to the subdevelopments that are being built now. Do you see anything that says starting at the low 100s or 200,000s? No. But I imagine that that's something that we're going to see start popping up all over the country soon out of necessity, but it's going to be incredibly low quality, cheap made homes that will fall apart after 20, 30, 40 years, only made for one lifetime, not meant to be passed down to create that kind of generational wealth that is usually held in the cornerstone of property ownership and asset appreciation. Because the good homes, the strong homes, the homes that will be long lasting, where people can actually afford to hand those things down and not just go into a reverse mortgage or to tap into their equity at the end of their lives, so they can actually have a couple years of peace where they don't actually have to work. And that kind of freedom will only be affordable to the wealthy. Tax the rich. Tax the rich and change the system, because that's the only way we're actually going to stay away from actually becoming a third world country. We're almost there. We're almost there. It's just life is pretty here. And you can still get fat and you can still go to the store and buy food. But it's going to get difficult at some point, because living in America is expensive, but life itself is becoming very cheap. And that is the hallmark of a third world country. If you're still here at this point, like and subscribe. We always appreciate the support. If you want to reach out to me, donation always works. Think about becoming a member. If you have any ideas of any more videos, anything you want me to talk about, especially when it comes to finance and real estate, because these are more things that I have more of a specialty in, because it revolves around my career, just go ahead and put it in the comments section. But I really appreciate the community here, especially the members that we have. It's always great talking to you. And at this point, I feel like you've been here on this journey with me, this channel, for quite some time now. And I just wanted to say that I appreciate a lot of you that have stuck around this long. And I am curious to see where this channel goes. Maybe next month it's just gone. Who knows? Hopefully.
Much love to him. Definitely go check out his channel. As a millennial, I feel like we were born into just constant change, constant chaos. Honestly, just every year has been a change in everything. And, we've seen prices just rise and rise and rise.